friends to a podcast that's been described as
emotional
and
terrifying.
One guy even said it was
So awesome it will shock you to the core.
finally another podcast about Godzilla and all his giant monster friends.
This could be the end of civilization.
Yeah, probably. So join your hosts, Cass and Slick.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You're listening to the podcast from Odo Island. Welcome to the podcast from Odo Island. Follow us on the interwebs, Odo Island Pod. I'm Kess, and with me as always, a man who does not look like George Wentz. More of a Nick Tortelli, if you ask me. Slick, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. This is our first post G-Fest episode. I feel like a recharged G-fan or something like that, I guess.
Cool.
But that's going to be one half of the topics today. We're gonna have what a package of topics we get today. G-Fest and the Mystery Science Theater 3000 Giant Gila Monster episode. What a double feature that is.
That is a weird double feature, but before we get into those, any news you want to lay on me?
Yeah, there's a couple little things. We got the reveal, the final reveal of who's rounding out the roster in the Gamera anime, and we got the release date too. Yep. So that's cool. We're gonna get it in America on September 7th. It looks like. I think that was the date, and they revealed Varas and Baragon. I think Baragon's already revealed, and Zigra also got. So pretty much a significant chunk of the Showa Gamera kaiju, except for Baragon, which, you know, Baragon. I like Baragon a lot. A little upset to see him omitted, but I don't know. Maybe they're gonna save him for season 2. Maybe he's gonna be the big bad. But we got an updated trailer too. What did you think of that?
I thought it was fun. He got stung. I saw him getting impaled right under the armpit, which is actually a pressure point. You don't want to take hits there, so I felt bad for him when he took that one.
He probably gets more than stung, but we have not watched that Gamera movie yet, so I don't want to spoil that.
I'm aware.
Okay, yeah. So Gamera's like, if I had a nickel every time one of my enemies impregnated me,
I was going to say, we're going to be mommies.
I would have 2 nickels, which is not a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
After it happens, a can of Mango Reinhardt falls out.
So we'll have to do more. We'll have to work through more of the Showa Gamera series. But yeah, I thought it looked really cool. I mean, it looked like it's going to be very action-packed. I mean, it's literally just called Gamera versus like 5 kaiju, or Gamera Rebirth, but I mean, the subtitle's like Gamera versus 5 kaiju.
Can I do my impression of the internet?
Sure.
Humans don't look good.
Well, it is that CGI anime style, which I don't love that style, but I've just accepted that. That's just, it saves so much money for these studios, so it's just kind of the way of the world, I guess.
I'm just being the sourpuss. Pete Steele, I should say, of the kaiju community. Oh, they don't look good. I'd rather it just be them like walking instead of all this action.
Yeah, the internet is known for its rash.
Seems like too
decisions.
much monsters.
Well, it's what, 6 episodes, and Gamera's gonna fight 5 kaiju. So
I'm just being the internet.
Yes, no, I know,
the Pete Steele goons.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. It kind of gives me I like, somebody pointed out that like the kaiju all kind of have the look of like the Trendmasters Gamera line, and as soon as I saw that, I was like, they're kind of not wrong on that. Everyone, it's like the same roster that we got with the Trendmasters Gamera line, because Baragon was omitted from that as well, and I was like,
Baragon just sucks.
He does not. We liked that movie.
I'm being.
He's got a freezing mist and he shoots a rainbow. He's awesome.
Yeah. I'm being a jokey boy.
He may also appear in the next episode when we talk about our bi-weekly purchases.
Oh.
Not this episode, because he might be in the mail.
Okay.
Next episode perhaps. So so I'm really excited for that. Look forward to that. It's good because that's like one episode of content we don't have to think too hard about, which is always fantastic.
Oh my God, I hate thinking.
When they when the topics are just gifted to us, because we don't do long-term planning with our topics. but I think that also we keep it our feet. We stay nimble. The other big, or did you have follow up on that? Because I had some other big news.
No, you have big news.
Yes, you returned to Battle Line.
Oh yeah, I came back. Yeah, Rasky's back.
And you're enjoying the mode that you hated.
Well, it's weird. They flipped. So ranked is like awful, and because I'm in 66 now.
Oh yes,
and
that's hell on earth. Being in rank 66,
it's better than what it was below. If that makes any sense, because I'm playing like more competitive people.
Sure, yeah.
But I'm also just getting like raked over the coals by like higher ranked people who are like my best piece is a 17 GMK and a 17 Kiryu. Like those are my two, like everything else is like a 30 or 31, I forget, like 89.
Oh, for you?
So like
yeah.
So like I'm way below where other people's decks are.
Yeah.
And like I'm still like going against them.
Yeah.
So basically I'm only winning against bots, or if someone else is like, hey, I'm gonna try some weird stupid thing. And I could always tell when they're doing that, because it's like, oh, here comes like Hidera and then like Kamakura Swarm. I'm like, okay, you're definitely testing things out right now.
Yes. I think I have been finding, and I think you will probably find this as well, as like now that you're in, now once you have enough trophies, get to rank 66. If you're not super familiar with Battleline, rank 66 is like, so when you play every month, as you win, you work your way up a rank, and like you play people that are around your rank, and rank 66 is the top rank. And so you are ultimately playing the players with like, you know, the highest trophy count to make it to those ranks. It's also high stakes, high reward. Or I guess it's the same reward, but higher stakes.
I'm noticing it's a lower reward, but like you lose a lot more. Like, so basically I'll lose 30 every time, but then I'll only gain like 28 or 29.
Yeah, I have not figured out how it calculates it, because like you have some where you get 32. Then you get some where you win 38 or 28 trophies.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't understand that logic. But either way, if you lose 30 trophies, as opposed to lower ranks where you lose 15 trophies.
Well, I would lose a lot more than 15 usually. Usually be around 17.
Oh, I guess it's like could go up to 18 and stuff. But either way, it's not 30. You know, like so you can fall out of rank 66. But
yeah,
I think
I've fallen out and gotten back in.
So like at the end of the season, when your trophy count resets, it resets back to like a certain number.
It goes down 10.
Yeah. So like if you are. So the more people that are making it into rank 66, like, then that means like there's going to be more people just naturally in rank 66 as like months go on.
Yeah.
And so like before, it used to just be like the top 80 players, like you're matching with them, you're getting crushed. But now it's like more people that like are like around my like player, my units levels are more common than it was a few months ago, so I find it to be like not nearly as hellacious as it used to be. But I found, and I think that will probably just kind of continue to kind of even itself out. Like I think you're going to find more people that like around your units levels are going to be more commonly found.
Yeah, and like I said, like it's better in the sense that I'm playing like more competitive people who I'm like closer to, but at the same time, like I'm still playing people who are like got the gold Godzillas and stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm not winning this.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure I have been matched up against Administration 1 before.
Well, he's like the top. He's like the top player, or you know, he's always in like the top 5.
Yeah.
So or top 10 or.
And so like I saw the Sir Melee video about like what his deck is, because he had his account. I don't know if you saw that.
But Melee, no, but I mean I've been in Discord servers with Administration 1 and stuff, so I'm very familiar with his deck. Yeah,
like Melee got access to it and was like playing around with it and stuff.
Yeah,
and I was looking at it. He's like, so every 1 through 3 star unit is 50, every single one of them.
Yeah,
and then most of the 4-star units are level 40.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, how do I get matched up against, like, why would that ever happen? He would desecrate me in like one, he would have to put one monster out in the ground and I would not be able to stop him.
Yeah, that's I mean I've played him a lot. That's how it goes.
So it's like when stuff like that happens, like even Melee was getting people quitting like as soon as they saw him because like, yeah, I'm not even gonna bother.
Yeah, because I mean, you're just wasting your time. You're wasting everybody's time's getting wasted. I'd rather just kind of move on.
Yeah.
Myself personally, like it's not insulting or anything like that. I see it and go like, listen, I might not have the most time to play this game right at that very moment, and I'm not going to spend the next 5 minutes trying to, kick against the tide. Again, that's not like meant to be an insult towards him or any other person who has high-ranking decks like that. But yeah, it's just kind of this is what happens in mobile games. I see like whenever I go against the whales in whether it's this or like Fire Emblem Heroes and stuff like that, I used to play a lot. I just go like, you know what? Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of dip out and kind of move on. So,
and that's the thing too. Like he wasn't around for the Shin Godzilla series, so he never played any matches in like the Red Mist areas. So like when you looked at like his rank history, he's got like 5,000 in Tokyo, 5,000 in New York, et cetera, and then those two areas, it's none.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, so this guy like hopped in probably around the same time that I did, but spent a ton of money on the game and now is like got 131,000 trophies.
Sometimes I wonder if I used to play RuneScape back in the day, and it's not just exclusive to RuneScape, but this is just something I'm familiar with. It was just like people used to sell their RuneScape accounts, like when they kind of like maxed out all their stats, and like those things would go for like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I know people do that with like World of Warcraft accounts and stuff, and I always always wonder like, what is a Godzilla Battle Line deck going for in the secondary market? No, I'm not going to sell it. But I was always just kind of like, I just always knew there was a market out there for that sort of stuff, and I kind of wonder. But
to the other point, the egg game this season is like fixed.
Yeah,
like all my complaints about the previous seasons where I wasn't getting any good rewards. It just didn't seem like the rules were very fun or intricate. Like that's kind of gone the wayside this season, and instead it's like you don't get to use like stun or like pretty much
kill the meta decks. I love it. I love it.
any of the annoying decks that you go against that you find like one of these guys aren't great. Like that's gone.
No Bomb Squad, no Psychic Chorus. Bomb Squad being Fourth Angel and Burning Godzilla.
Is
no 10th Angel.
No Minua. No.
Kumo, who even after getting nerfed, he's now like appearing all over again and ranked again.
Yeah,
people are just figuring out better ways to use him.
Not for me yet. He's ranked like I think around 17 or 18 for me yet, so he's not quite ready yet. But like I've been trying to level him up, try to get him back because I did enjoy using him. But like when you go against him, it sucks.
He pairs. I found this season he pairs very well with the Final Wars Godzilla.
Okay.
Just something about like the timing, of the two of them together.
I actually got him leveled up. I think he's like a 12 now.
Yeah. Final Wars Godzilla is a little expensive at 7 cost, but I think
most of the Godzillas are. Like Burning Godzilla is the least. He's at 5, so that's probably why he's
which is funny because he's like so very overpowered at 5.
But like he has that
the explosion
when he dies. So so that he makes him super useful. He's like 10th Angel that way.
Yeah.
So that's why you see him a lot, low cost and high output. GMK for me is the guy though.
Yeah, I still think GMK is like a top 3 unit in the game.
He's just a bruiser. I really like it.
It's just mine's also just 17, and he's in my deck constantly.
Yeah. So I have to. I'm sort of stopped leveling him up. I'm gonna concentrate on leveling up Mothra now.
The legendary one?
Yeah.
That's my plan.
Yeah.
I'm using her at level 6 I got 4-star units that are level 25, and she's still, because you just keep her in the back and she just hits everything with slow.
Right.
So like I realized even at level 6, she's still getting the job done. And so like,
plus you get the timer boost when she dies.
Oh yeah, the energy boost, and then she also when she deploys, she has an AoE that protects your units against stun.
Yeah.
She basically single-handedly kills the Bomb Squad Kumo decks.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Such a good unit. And the sprite's incredible.
When I play like fixed or something like that, I would try to combine Minua, Mothra, and Kumo into like the ultimate stun slow deck. And like the M-Bows and all that stuff. But the egg game, like none of that stuff is going on this time, so my deck is I finally get to use legendary Ghidorah for the first time.
Yeah.
I just finally unlocked him a few weeks ago. He's like level 1. But he's my leader.
Mm-hmm.
And rounding it out, I have, let me think of this. I alternate between Kamakuras and
Chibi
Godzilla. Yeah, I feel like the Kamakuras are like slightly better just because there's 3 of them.
Yeah.
But they're kind of there to do the same thing. Like if I need something to absorb a Caesar rush, like I just wait for Caesar to approach and then I just drop them in.
Yeah.
So, but then I have like Kiryu, GMK, Mothra, Legendary Mothra, and Ultraman and Final Wars Gigan in my deck.
Solid lineup.
So I've lost once, and I'm like, this is the longest I've ever gone for like an egg deck win streak. I'm at like close to 20 now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I've also only lost once, and it was to somebody that had almost the identical deck to me.
Yeah, that's what they had. What's his face as the leader? It was the only difference. So it was a better leader. It's Kamen Rider or Kamen Rider. Because of the stun thing, where like it freezes your thing.
That's brutal and fixed because that's like the 5-second or 7-second stun.
Yeah.
When he's at a lower level, it's a lot shorter.
Yeah.
And it's like easier. But yeah, mine was like, the person that beat me, I like instantly rematched with them and beat him the second time around. So got my win back.
Which is funny because I have been instantly rematched with people who rage quit against me in the egg game. And did they fix their deck? No.
Yeah.
They just played with the same crappy deck. Like they had Godzilla 89 as their leader. So I'm like, idiot. I'm like, this is fine if like you're playing ranked. Godzilla 89 is an awesome leader. But if you're playing like on a fixed deck and you have a 20 ranked 3 stars, you're leader, you're significantly less than what you would get out of a 4-star leader.
Right.
So like, I'm just like, okay, you haven't thought about this and you didn't fix your deck when I spanked you, so I'm just gonna do it to you again. So they just rage quit on me again. So the rage quits are back. I love documenting them as they happen. Yeah,
I like the idea of egg mode, like as an idea, is like what I wanted out of Battle Line. I wish it was longer than a week. I like it when it says, here's like a deck with you have restrictions in the deck you can make.
It should change every week.
Yeah, I wish it stayed around longer and the rules.
I wish it was
changed.
just a permanent thing and then the rules changed every week.
I agree because like I don't like the rewards have been fine for me, but I like
they just started getting good for me.
I more like the unique deck creating, using units that you don't normally use, playing against types of decks you don't normally play against. Feels like almost like a whole different game. Like when like it's going on and it's like, I want it to have some stakes because like, there is a fixed mode, but like, I like that it has stakes. So like people are actively playing it. So yeah, I feel like there's a growing voice of people who say like they wish it was around longer.
It gives, cause like, I don't know about you, but like when I get like my maps full, because I get a ton of 6 and 9 hour maps. That's pretty much all I get.
Yep.
So when those get full, I tend to like stop playing because I'm like, I'm like, there's no point to this. And so the egg mode gives you something to do. Like I really like the event because it gives you something else to do besides ranked.
Yeah.
But like the events kind of don't change. They're kind of always the same.
Yeah. It's surprising.
So for me, like, this month I got to level 81 and I couldn't beat the giant Godzilla Earths.
Oh, in the All-Star battle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I couldn't beat that, so I pretty much tapped out there and just kept on doing level 31 to kill as many people as I could, or many units as I could to get as much level up as I could. And that's sort of what I do, is just like, once I get to like sort of like, I plateau and I can't move any further, I'll just go back to level 31. But like I see most people beating it kind of every month now, and I'm kind of like, I'm not there yet.
Soon. Yeah. So, once you get past that wave, it's actually a lot easier until you get to 89.
I've seen every level.
They just love to hit you with a really awful one at wave 81.
And it's not like I can't beat 81. I bet you I could. I just don't get the decks to do it.
Yeah.
Like, and I'll always be like
trying to shuffle.
Trying my best to get something good, and it's just like the one time I almost got there, I got rid of the two of the 3 Godzilla Earths, but then Godzilla 2004 shows up.
No,
And it's just
yeah.
kind of like, all right, I can't do it all. Like, but like if I got Kiryu and GMK and like all my leveled up units out there, like I could beat this.
Yeah.
But I just never get them.
Yeah.
It's always fucking the warp, which is like
Kids.
the most useless thing. Just get it out of there. I don't even want that. I can see the use for it, but it's terrible. It's always that or the Kamakura Swarm, which I don't have it leveled very high. I think it's like 10 for me. Like the regular Kamakuras, I have it like 20.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that's sort of like where most of my units are now, is around like the 20 area. I kind of focus on like leveling up certain units, so like a lot of my units sort of just go by the wayside. But
yeah, I leveled just for there's a lot of units I leveled just for the All-Star battle, because knowing I'm gonna like ultimately need them.
Because I don't level up units specifically because I get them all the time in the All-Star battle, and I'm like, I'm keeping you low so that way I can extend these lower levels and kill more enemies.
Yeah.
So like, a lot of the reason I don't level up a lot of things is like mostly because I will never use them in ranked, and because like I need low enemies for the event.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I will just get like a level 20 Kamakura, and it'll just beeline it straight for the crystal, and I won't get any enemies.
Yeah, although I do love it, like when one surviving Kamakura breaks off and takes down the crystal, I'm just like, oh man, all your friends died and you broke off. You finished the story.
But that's why I have the swarm
Kamakura roads.
Yeah, that's why I have the swarm lower, just because like it keeps it like funner to me.
Yeah, like I get that.
So,
yeah, when they're all overpowered and you just crush through, you can't win any of those achievements.
it might be cool to like enter in like you can like lower your unit's level if you want for the event. That's probably never going to happen, but it'd be a cool idea.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're back, and I'm glad you're enjoying.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of being back, you came back to the island. You ventured away.
yes, I went to.
Regale us with your tales of G-Fest.
I went to the island of Chicago. So I'll give like I've kind of said this in the podcast before, but I'll give my serious intro before I get into it. Like I have been very vocal about what I like by missteps taken by the former organizer of G Fest, as well as JD Lees, who runs GFan. I have been very critical in the past of they don't need to rehash it, like the stuff that he tweeted during COVID and some of the stuff that he wrote about in GFan. But he ultimately, he stepped away from being. He's still part of GFest, but he's no longer the organizer. His daughter's the organizer. She certainly seems to have a very different worldview, it seems, than him.
That's good.
But I mean, again, he did do that in response to, his tweets and stuff like that he said during COVID, and as well he acknowledged the dumb stuff that he wrote in GFan. And I'm a person that I think that like if somebody apologizes for something or
This
tries to
seems
take
sincere.
steps, if they try to take steps to show that he may not be changing his beliefs, but he's at least demonstrating that he wants to not. What am I trying to say? Like he's not. He might not be changing his beliefs. I don't know if he's changing his beliefs one way or the other, but it seems like he's being mindful that it impacted people and that like he's trying to make amends.
Yes.
For it. He's trying. So, and I think when people do
and
that,
I don't think he's faking it either. That's important.
I mean, I think putting his daughter in charge is a big. I think that's a very big step, because this was like his thing. This has been his thing since like the 90s, and so I think with that I said okay. I said like I think I feel good about going now, and I've never been before, and I'm very glad I did. I'm very glad I went. I actually had a great. I went by myself. I politely asked my wife once if she wanted to go. And she was like, yeah, you want me to go follow you around a Godzilla convention for a weekend? I said, no, not really. And she's like, yeah, I don't want to go either. Go have fun on your own. I said, that's fantastic. I'm out.
And I was like looking into going just like on my own with you, kind of. But then like something else came up, and I was just kind of like, I'd rather do that as my summer treat to myself.
Yes. So I will get my one negative out of the way. The location of this place sucks. Like, so have you ever been to Chicago before?
I have, but I don't have like a very good understanding of the geography. I know it's in O'Hara. Like,
yeah, it's literally like my Uber when I was leaving to fly home on Sunday. My Uber from my hotel to the airport I timed it because I wanted to know just how close I was to the airport without traffic. It was a 6.5 minute ride.
Yeah.
That's how close you are to the airport.
I was going to say, so you're in like the western part of the city, and like
you're in Rosemont.
To your west is the airport, but like all the hotel, like the airport hotels are sort of in the same vicinity.
Yeah.
Like a little bit away from it.
That's pretty much all there is right here is just like a series of hotels and hotel bars.
Yeah.
Like I was looking, like, I mean, fortunately I've been to Chicago in the last couple of years. So I didn't feel like I was like missing out on anything downtown, but it was like sometimes I look, I was like, all right, well, how long will like an Uber take to get downtown? It'd be like a 45-minute ride.
Exactly, because I was looking into hotels like that were like cheaper than what I was seeing in that area, and because airport hotels are usually the most expensive, but like the ones like in like the more remote areas by the water were like half hour away, but like very affordable. But I was just like, I'm not driving through all of Chicago.
Yeah, you're gonna spend the same amount of money in Ubers.
Exactly.
You know, so
you get any before you go on about the convention, you get any deep dish?
No, I did not. I do not partake in the pizza casserole. I mean, I have had it in the past.
I love deep dish.
I am not again. I don't think it's bad, but I much more
it's your
like
least
my
favorite. Yeah. You want New York style.
Yeah, exactly. Yes,
I like New York style best too.
Yes,
I like Detroit style second best, but I do love the deep dish.
I have not
Chicago
actually
style.
had Detroit style.
All right.
Because the sauce gets added on after cold, right? Yeah, it's like very bizarre to me.
I like cold pizza.
Okay. Well, I mean, I like leftover cold pizza. So I guess maybe in theory, I probably should like
that's why
Detroit style pizza.
Yeah.
But I do like Sicilian style pizza as well.
That's
as one who is like a bajillion and a half % Italian, saying that may get me in trouble with my elders, but because we are from the part of Italy that I was told by someone who just did work in my bathroom, who is Sicilian. He goes, you're from the part of Italy that the Sicilians really hate. And I was like, oh. I said, well, welcome to my home. What a way to lead off this conversation. And I said, well, I've never been, so I don't really know.
Right.
But anyway, so all right, so day one of G-Fest, I got there right around 11 a.m. or so. I had a little flight delay by about 45 minutes, but still got there in time to I wanted to check out the video game history panel that Alex Rushdie from Dawn of the Monsters. He was doing this video game history panel. It was I missed the first part of it because of my flight delay, but came in. There was like I knew there was a lot of like Ultraman fighting games on the PlayStation, but I did not realize how many there were. And it was cool. It was cool to see that panel. There's like a lot of panels that are going on simultaneously. And I would like walk past rooms and like every panel looked like to be at least like half full.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the other thing I should put in perspective too. I knew that last year I think it was the biggest year. And they had about 3,500 attendees last year. I would say on Friday, I bet there was probably about 3,500 attendees.
Cool.
Saturday, I would say that number was probably closer to 5,000.
Insane.
Yeah, or it definitely over 4,000. Like, so I had a weekend pass. Like the people picking up their passes that were showing up just on Saturday, like that line was stretching through that hotel. That hotel was huge. I mean, it was moving fast, but I was just like, oh man, it was like that is hundreds of more people that are showing up here today that didn't get like pick up their weekend pass yesterday.
Mhm.
So like they do basically take over like this entire hotel. Like and
Yeah.
it's multiple floors. There's the main floor that has like the biggest rooms for panels. And then there's the dealer's room, which I spent a lot of time in. The dealer's room was fucking awesome, which you'll hear more about in weekly purchases. But like the
Cool.
dealer's room was like, I mean, just a giant conference room. Probably had about like 45 vendors, probably maybe a little bit more. It's a little hard for me to kind of estimate, but like they had the whole perimeter was different vendors, and then there's obviously like rows and stuff. And surprisingly, like at first my concern was like, oh, is everyone going to kind of be selling the same thing? But there was a pretty big variety. There was a lot of people selling newer Bandai movie monster figures, which while there was a lot of people selling the same stuff, it was good because you got to kind of price shop, and like so you could, if you were just patient, like you could go look at one, go like, okay, they got the thing that I want for X amount of dollars, and then like you probably had an option of like 5 or 6 more vendors to compare the same price to.
Mm-hmm.
So you could kind of but I would say overall everyone's prices were about like not like usually like whenever I've gone to other conventions, I feel like prices are super jacked. I felt this was consistent with like eBay pricing.
Okay.
Which I mean that
That's
in a
good.
I mean that in a positive way.
Yeah.
So there was, of
I
course,
took it as a positive.
yeah. I mean, sometimes people, I think, depending on what you collect, I think some people say, "Oh, eBay, like they jack everything up and blah 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 blah." But like, but yeah, I thought it was good. Obviously, there was some stuff that was like priced like a little bit too high, and but there was a lot of like really cool like vintage stuff there. Like the Shogun Warriors, like there was like a mint Shogun Warriors, like Rodan with the box there. And I kind of watched a couple people were kind of bidding with each other kind of throughout the weekend to try to get that. That was kind of cool to watch that like play out a little bit. That's a super rare piece. And that was like in really, really good condition. And I thought I overheard some of it, and I thought the price that was being asked was really fair. And I think there was a couple people who were really interested in getting it.
Excuse me. Whew.
And I guess getting back to like when I expressed like the concerns that I used to have about going, I would say overall, like when I went, what I found was a very welcoming, very inclusive environment.
Cool.
Certainly you could tell there was people from all sorts of different walks of life. And it seemed like everybody seemed to be very welcoming, very friendly. It just seemed like a very positive environment. I would like the guests, which I'll segue to the guests in a minute. Like they were like, I'll put it like this: Don Fry is not like Don Fry is not known for his like most liberal political takes. However, he was out and about all weekend, and he was being super friendly to everybody. Like he was probably one of the most present of the guests that was just out on the floor, being very kind to everybody, and taking he was like all the guests were charging for like autographs and photos and stuff like that at their autograph table. I saw him probably take 50 free photos on Saturday at some point, just walking around with like anybody who went up to talk to him. Because I don't think a lot of people, I got the sense like from standing in lines with people like that a lot of them didn't really know him from basically anything outside of Final Wars.
Yeah. So sidebar for this for just a second.
Yeah.
You saying you saw Don Fry there led me down a YouTube rabbit hole that I've not even recovered from yet. I've watched so much Pride fighting, so much UFC. Not even just Don Fry, but like old Ken Shamrock stuff from 2002. Oh my god!
I was watching Don Fry's New Japan matches, and I forgot for a while when he was a heel in New Japan, he had long hair. That's so weird to see him with long hair.
I watched like Shinsuke Nakamura fights. I went down such a weird fighting, like just MMA rabbit hole, like early days of MMA rabbit hole. Mm-hmm. So like Ken Shamrock was still like unbeatable in UFC because he like tapped Dan Severn out in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
like that time period.
Don Fry and Dan Severn, I learned how to podcast. Have a podcast together.
Yes. It's not great.
That's like what I mean. I was like, man, here is a a dude that I was like, I mean, I don't know to how deep Dan's problematic views go. I don't know if I actually want to know, but like I said, I saw him being extremely kind with all people like this weekend, and I was like, okay. I was like, I'm just not gonna go dig too deep on Don Fry. But speaking of the other guest, TJ Wilson, who does the mocap for Godzilla, he did it in 2014, and King of the Monsters. They didn't do mocap and GVK. Probably no, it was filmed before COVID, but for whatever reason they didn't do mocap and GVK. But
which I didn't know until we actually covered the movie.
Yeah, he's he was like a super nice guy too. He's fucking huge.
Enormous.
He is ripped. Also, he sounded like VR troopers like in the 90s. When I was standing in line to get an autograph, one of the other guests, like someone brought a photo of like his character that he played in VR Troopers, and he like lost his mind, like in a very like funny way. He like was walking all around the room, and he's like, everybody's like, look, he's like, this is he's like, look at this is me from VR Troopers and stuff. And he was like, so they did a panel on the first evening, on Friday evening. It was kind of probably the opening ceremonies where it was Don Fry, TJ Wilson, Linda Miller, who's from King Kong Escapes, and Akane from Godzilla X Mechagodzilla. The actress's name is Yumiko Shaku, and like, they were all just like very. I mean, Don Fry's been to G-Fest a handful of times, so it was kind of like par for the course for him. But like, Yumiko was like, through her translator, she's like, we don't have stuff like to this scale in Japan. Like, she was like blown away by like the amount of people that were like just excited to see her and like meet her and stuff. And TJ Wilson was like, he was like almost like kind of talking like a character from like a superhero show, like VR Troopers or something like that. He was like very funny, and he was super nice. And Linda Miller was also like, she was really cool. She was very emotional about like just how big the convention was and how many people like were excited to see her. And she's like, I did King Kong Escapes, and look at all these people that are just like here to see me. So in terms of autographs, I was hoping to get autographs from everybody, but like these lines were super, super long, and they kind of blew out. Like if you went from one line to the next line, it would have pretty much blown out your whole day.
Yeah.
So so I only got an autograph from one person, and we'll get to that in weekly purchases.
Okay.
What else was there? Oh yeah, okay. So then there was a room on the basement level floor. There was a couple conference rooms that one was just playing movies throughout the day. There was another room that had some really cool like models that people like made from scratch. For the most part, made from scratch. Like that had some really awesome, crazy models in there. And then my favorite down there was the arcade room or the video game room. So you would walk in, to your left was to the middle, and to the left was more console gaming. Okay. So people were playing Straw Monsters Melee, Save the Earth, Giga Bash was being played.
No, were they being played on GameCube, PlayStation, or the superior?
It was all like you had access to everything.
Okay,
everything. So like they had like rows of TVs set up, or like they had some stations where like they had like projectors set up, and people like playing like on the wall on a projector. It was like a lot of people like running tournaments throughout the weekend, and that was pretty cool. And then to the right was like arcade games, and there was like the ones from Japan where it's like you hit like the ball into like Godzilla's mouth when he opens it. There was like one where there's like this giant Godzilla like kind of not that chibi style like that we're talking about in Battle Line, but like kind of like the 90s like chibi style Godzilla, where it's like, God, it was like, it must have been a Godzilla that was probably about 3 feet tall, maybe a little bit less. And like it's got like targets like on its like knees and arms and chest and stuff like that, and you kind of get these like light guns, like shooting gallery guns, and like he just keeps like marching towards you, and like you and another player gotta like kind of shoot those points. I was like playing that with, like random strangers, and it was really fun, and then it was really cool like that it, like the fact that this thing still worked. There was like some Ultraman arcade games. There was like the Godzilla Tournament Fighter arcade game. There was like, I forget what it was called. It was like Kaiju Counterattack or something like that. It was like kind of like a shmup kaiju game that had like a bootleg Godzilla in it that I had never heard of before, and it was pretty fun because I like shmups. So Yeah, you know, I guess
Our
it
type.
wasn't. I don't know. Would you consider Akari Warriors like a shmup? 'Cause
Kind of.
It was the same gameplay as like Akari Warriors.
Kind of. I think of shmups as more like you're in a ship or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's not like required. So I guess Akari Warriors would
I
kind of be a
think
shmup.
they, yeah, I think they. So it was the same style of gameplay as like Akari Warriors. And then there was another room that was doing like there were some people who were there promoting, like people have made like kind of like kaiju card game battlers.
Yeah.
And they were doing that in another room, and someone came up with a kaiju variant of Risk, and so they were running like large Risk games like all weekend. I thought about joining a Risk game, but Risk takes like 4 hours to play, so so I did not. But yeah, I guess that was all the big attractions. Like, I mean, I was able to like just talk to random people throughout the weekend. Like, definitely made friends with people throughout the weekend. If my pal Nate and his I think your wife's name was Lauren. I did not tell him about this podcast, but maybe he just listens to this podcast. But I didn't want to like leave with like, hey man, listen to my podcast. But it was like my BFF Nate, who we just would run into each other throughout the weekend, and he was also at his first G Fest. He had just become a Godzilla fan, I think he said, like, or at least started buying Godzilla stuff for the first time a couple of years ago. And it was like funny when I first saw him. He was like, he's like, oh man, he's like, I'm a little nervous to start buying stuff here in this dealer's room. And his wife was like, she's like, listen, you came here, like, you don't go on a lot of trips, spend your money here. And I was like, yeah, man. I was like, just do that. Then it was like legit, like, I bumped into him like a couple hours later, and I literally was watching him like Venmo somebody a dealer $250.
Nice.
And I said, "You got over that shit, didn't you?" And he's like, "Oh man," he goes, "I went off the rails," and I was like, "I love it." So yeah, so I had a ton of fun. I really enjoyed it. I think I'm not going to say I'm going to make it a yearly tradition, but I think it's something that, like, depending on the guests, whatever other panels or attractions they're doing, I think it'll be a consideration to go every year. You know,
I'd like to go, just have fun going.
It was totally worth it. Totally worth it.
Yeah, I need to plan ahead more next time though.
Yeah,
it can't just be like first week of July being like, maybe I'll do this.
Yes, yeah. I also kind of went on a whim, but ultimately I was glad I did. I saw a really cool panel. I saw a few really cool panels, but one that I thought was really fun was on Saturday. I saw one that was all about VHS tape collecting, and that was really cool because it was like there's a lot of good history I didn't know, especially like in the U.S. about like Godzilla and other kaiju like related VHS releases. And there was a fun part that was about how like everyone thought Godzilla vs. Megalon was public domain for a long time, and it never was. Yeah. But Toho just like didn't really start paying attention to it till like in like the mid 90s, and so there is like a bajillion Godzilla vs. Megalon VHSs out there before Toho cracked down on them, and some of them have wild artwork going on them. So that was a very fun panel. I like that,
which is weird because that movie like itself has wild artwork.
Yeah. It was just it was good. It was there was a lot of talk about, like, there was a lot of VHSs for sale. Like, it really is like a thing that's kind of coming back in style, or at least from like a collector's standpoint. I'm glad I still have all my old VHSs. So yeah. So yeah, that was that.
Maybe I'll go next year. Like I said, I need to.
We could probably do. From what I learned, it's not too hard to get a panel at G Fest. So
I don't know about doing a panel, but I'd consider it. I just want to go for the experience, though. It sounds like a very fun time. It said I went to AEW Dynamite with Blood and Guts and had myself just a hell of an evening.
Yeah.
Went by myself.
Yeah.
I will say this real quick about that. I hate wrestling fans. I hate other people, but like I like the actual wrestling.
Yes, this is one where I'm like I've described this before, like being a Godzilla fan growing up, like, I mean, we're living like in a fucking Godzilla renaissance right now.
Yep.
But like, you know, other than like exposing my friends to Godzilla, like I grew up, it was a very lonely fandom, as I've always said, to kind of grew up in just like wasn't super popular in the 90s and the early 2000s. Like, you know, would read in G-Fan magazine. I was aware that there were other people out there, but, you know, didn't really interact with many.
Yeah.
Actually, I would say even up until probably us starting this podcast, I probably didn't interact with too many outside of like you and a couple of our friends, you know, and now it's like I got all sorts of, you know, friends that share this interest too now. And it's like, when I was at this convention, I was like, holy shit. I was like, there is like thousands of people here right now who like are, you know, just very into this thing that like back when I was growing up, I was like, I knew nobody who was into. And so that was kind of cool just to be like among that. So
I'm sure there was no one there who was like swearing and like there were like kids like right near you and stuff like that. So like they really should, like, I bet there was no inappropriate like stuff going on.
Oh no, absolutely not. It was I've been to other
This is
various
why I hate
conventions
wrestling
with
fans,
like, oh, okay, I get what you're saying. Yes, yeah. No, I've definitely been to the conventions that like, you know, no crowd is perfect, but I mean like, this is just like, there's just some people that I saw that I was like, oh, I just kind of know you're kind of an asshole, but like, I mean, if you didn't know them, you would never know that they weren't being assholes in public,
right?
You know, but it was just, I've never been around that many people just being positive to each other. Like probably ever.
Yeah.
So
that sounds like my kind of place to be. But anyway, switching gear now to the main course.
Yes.
Glad you had fun at G-Fest, but we had an assignment this episode. We had to watch the Mystery Science.
We had an experiment.
Yeah, so our poll tied on the Twitter app, the bird app, and so. We watch the
Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode of Giant Gila Monster.
No, but what did we watch last time?
Oh, Pulgasari.
Thank you.
Pulgasari.
I couldn't think of the name of it. And
blocked it out already.
So that tied with Mystery Science Theater 3000's Giant Gila Monster. And so we watched Pulgasari last episode, and we're watching the Mystery Science Theater episode this week. Oh, boy.
Yeah,
boy, I will. Oh boy.
So I just
set this table for me.
I just talked a ton about G-Fest. So after I set the table, walk us through. So the movie Giant Gila Monster came out in 1959, directed by Ray Kellogg, who also did another Mystery Science Theater 3000 classic, Attack of the Killer Shrews.
Yep.
He was also the second unit director on Batman the Movie, starring one Adam West. He also did some, I don't know what his role was. We also worked on, what was the Marilyn Monroe movie, Blondes Prefer Gentlemen? Or Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. Whoops. The main actor in this movie, one Don Sullivan, who I actually started listening, I didn't get a chance to finish it, but I was listening to, he was on the B-Movie podcast, I think it's called, and he was doing an interview about his acting career, and I didn't get too far into it, but what I did hear from it is that when he like rolled out of the car at the end of this movie, he like really like, he didn't break anything, but he like really banged himself up like rolling out of the car. He goes like, we almost couldn't finish the shoot because I just hit the ground way too hard rolling out of the car. He goes, I was only going 4 miles an hour, and he goes, I somehow banged myself up, and I was like, oh damn, dude. But
they sped it up so it looked a lot faster.
Yeah. So in addition to being the actor, I'm sure we're going to have more to say on this later. He wrote the songs that he sang in this movie.
He was a singer-songwriter.
He was a singer-songwriter.
At least we know who to blame.
He was not actually intending to be an actor. He had a girlfriend at the time that was going to acting school. And she said he would pick her up one day, and she was like, oh, why don't you come to the next class? You sing. And like maybe you would like acting. And that's how he kind of fell into acting. But you may be interesting to know that one of the songs that he sang, he actually had way more lyrics for the song, but they cut them from the movie. We were robbed. Robbed we were, I tell you.
Must have been the ravine that needed the padding then.
The real star of this movie is not, in fact, a Gila monster. It is a Mexican bearded lizard. So, not a real Gila monster. The DJ, however, who I certainly have thoughts on the DJ, that was in the movie.
Great life lessons being handed out during this one.
He was, in fact, a real DJ in real life. This was all filmed in the Dallas, Texas area on a budget of $138,000, which seems like a lot for 1959.
Seems like a lot for this movie. I feel like there are a couple people pocketing a lot of that cash.
I'm going to guess that the 2012 remake that I just learned of earlier today, called Gila or Gila with an exclamation point, probably also has the same budget. I sent you the trailer for that. Part of me is like, I was like, do we have to watch this at some point or skip this one?
I feel like if we watch this one, we have to watch that one.
God,
and that's okay. I won't say anything more.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I saw that one trailer. That's it. From the Mystery Science Theater 3000 standpoint, this is from 1992. I think this is like, we are in like, I mean, all of MST3K is really good. I don't like the Sci-Fi Channel stuff personally, but like, but either way, this 1990 to like 1995 era of MST3K on Comedy Central. Oh, it's just gold. Just so gold. So we're right in the middle of it right here.
I think it stays good with like a few Mike seasons and then it falls off.
Yeah, yes, I agree. Like, but I think all the Joel years, gold.
Oh yeah,
fucking gold.
The Joel years are great.
This episode was, I mean, when I was a kid growing up, this is an episode I saw a million times. I always loved this episode growing up. Always one of my personal favorites. I didn't realize the reason why I saw it so many times is that a lot of the movies that are from around these seasons were having rights issues. So Comedy Central like couldn't air full seasons all the time. Like they had to pull some of the episodes for a little bit till they squared away the rights. And so that meant Giant Gila Monster, which was always public domain, was just played constantly on Comedy Central, which is probably why I've seen it so much.
Yeah.
This one is also a little bit funny because like when they put out DVDs, that originally they had like a DVD set that had Godzilla vs. Megalon in it that had to get pulled. They then had they then filmed a segment for like one of the future DVD releases that was like, all right, well, what you got to do is now you got to break your DVD that has Godzilla vs. Megalon on it, and you got to insert this copy of Giant Gila Monster into your DVD case, and then you'll be all good. So they used that as like kind of like a punchline, as like a gag about how like they lost the rights to Godzilla vs. Megalon. So they filmed like a little like special feature skit where they were like smash your Megalon DVDs, put Giant Gila Monster in instead, and then your Mystery Science Theater 3000 set will be legal and true and good. I thought that was pretty funny. So yeah, so that's pretty much the table is set.
All right. So, yeah, I've seen this episode before a few times. The thing about this episode is like the riffing's very good, but the thing they're riffing on is like very hard to watch. Like this is barely a movie as much as it is like a very, very, very long like home video.
You mean scenes of a lizard walking around like a little miniature set intercut with people is not a movie?
It's a movie in the loosest terms.
Yeah.
Like I want to talk about the actual movie itself away from the riffing for a second.
Yeah.
I said Pulgasari might be the worst movie we've watched. Like, this is so much worse than Pulgasari. Pulgasari is like a 4 compared to this. It's like a movie on itself. Like, it is god awful.
Yeah.
Like, Ray Kellogg should be ashamed of himself. Like, he should, like, seriously, like, give himself 10 lashings for putting this out into the world. The songs are just like, stop it. Like,
and my baby, she sings and I sing.
Okay, so when he wakes up when the DJ wakes up in the jail and he's hungover, I actually had a headache when I was watching the scene. So when and he's like sitting there singing and pounding on the floor, and I'm like, you fucking asshole, like fuck off. So I'm like sitting there taking Tylenol and taking ibuprofen to like do away with this headache, and this DJ comes in and he's just like all happy, and I'm just like, I don't identify with these characters.
I mean, do we just get into the DJ, or do you want to come back to the DJ?
We're there.
Right, so
this is the most important part of the
so
movie.
the DJ is shit tanked, leaving some event. He drives off the road, hits a tree.
First, he passes the tow truck driver, like, illegally, just drives around him like a madman.
Oh, yes.
And then he swerves to take a left, and then he hits a tree.
Yeah.
He drives off the road.
He's like blind ass drunk.
Yes.
So
like doesn't know where he is.
So our hero, I'm just gonna keep calling. I forget what his like name was in the movie. I'm just gonna call him Don, the actor, Don Sullivan. So Don Sullivan takes the tow truck and basically is like, not like, hey man, like, well, first off, Don Sullivan is just like he's like an undeputized deputy for the sheriff in this town that they're in.
Also, like, very sketchy and like not a good person.
Who, Don or the
Don.
sheriff? Oh yeah,
no,
well,
he's like stealing tires off of cars.
Oh, yeah. We gotta come back to that. We gotta come back to that too. There's so much to come back to. So rather than go like, oh man, like you're like super fucked up. You just drove off the road. Like, you know, like I should maybe like, I don't know, call that sheriff, because also nobody gets DUIs in this town. So like, because there's like another character whose whole role is like he's like the town drunk, and he like just hangs out with the sheriff all day. And there's one part where he walks in, he goes like, oh yeah, he's like you all hammered, town drunk, and he's like, yeah, he's like, all right, go sleep in the cell. And he's like, I know you've been driving around.
At the beginning of the movie, he smells his breath.
Oh my god, yes. Yeah. So the DJ like then tries to get back in his car when it's hooked up in the tow truck, and he's like, the wheels aren't working. He's beeping the horn. He goes, let me pass you, because he's so stupid drunk.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'm just gonna tow you back to my place. Let's just sleep it off the other room, and then I'm gonna just like hammer away at some shit and sing loudly to wake you up. And the DJ wakes up and he like looks around and goes, hey, that's not bad. But the part of the riffing where it's like he's hammering and he's like, when I sang and my baby sings, and he's like kind of twitching a little bit, and Crow's like, that part has killed me since childhood. I die laughing every time that comes up. Anyway, that was my thoughts on that part.
It comes up just like your leg onto something.
Oh my god.
But yeah, so, oh my god. So the DJ, like, he's like, how much will it cost to like get me out of here? He goes, oh, $2. He goes, the coffee's worth $2. I'm like, no, it isn't. It's worth like 12 cents. So he gives him like $40 and drives away. It's like,
get a business card. He's like, DJ Scribble.
He comes back later to MC the dance in a barn, which is not a fire hazard, but I digress. So back to the beginning of this movie. So basically, like, this group of teenagers who are all partnered up, just like, I don't know how it worked out that there were 5 boys and 5 girls born in the same like vicinity of time across this like town, because like apparently nobody else seems to exist.
Yeah, that's the whole population seems to be just the characters of this movie.
So they're in this like diner area, and like a couple of kids go missing, and then like they find like a wrecked car that went off the road perpendicularly.
Oh yes.
And so then Don Johnson decides like, these are nice tires, I'm stealing these from my car. And, like the cop like notices, and then he's like, whatever.
Oh no. But then remember he's like, hey, Don, is one of your headlights out? He's like, yeah.
I was gonna get to that.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
Because then the cop is just like suggesting to him that he steals the headlight off this car.
Yeah.
He's like, I already told you about this headlight. Oh, I thought you were just making a suggestion. I didn't listen to you. He goes like, well, there's a perfectly good one right there. I don't think the insurance company's gonna miss it. So like, these are like thieves.
This is the FBI and Whitey Bulger.
These are like deplorable, like not good people.
Yeah.
In this like rural part of town, who now have this giant lizard making an occasional appearance, just showing up, being like very out of context. Hi, how you doing? One of my favorite riffs in this movie is when they go up to the ravine. They're like, oh, the ravine, that should pad this thing out.
Oh, yeah. I like how the narration at the beginning of the movie is just like, oh, you know, in this rural area, things could maybe grow giant that just kind of go unnoticed for years. And I was like, well, that's a very convenient setup for this.
Also, when they show up at the garage, he calls it the garage of Dr. Caligari.
Yeah, that was good.
So that was a good riff. Yeah, insurance company isn't going to miss a headlight. Like, just the amount of leg up blocks in this movie when they do the montage of all of them.
Oh yeah.
Like, a lot. Like, everyone puts their leg up on something in a scene.
Yeah.
And I didn't notice it was every scene until they like really showed it off.
Yeah, like they literally walk into a room and they just throw their knee up. I just live across like, you know, they can put my knee up on here.
They go leg up, and so they put it up, and then he's like, "Hey, come back here, put your knee up on this." So he comes back and literally does that.
You could make a drinking game, but the only two rules are like drink every time someone puts the knee up, every time there's a wreck, and drink every time the giant Gila monster's on screen, and you'll probably get hammered. Mostly from the knee up and the wreck.
I don't know if it was the Mystery Science Theater 3000 or if it was the movie itself calling the drunk sugar lumps.
Oh, yeah. Remember he was driving at one point when he's like racing the train?
Yeah.
And you can see the director's hand telling it in the reflection of the window to like point to the right. And or look to the right. And he like looks to the right. And Joel's like, hey, a hand. Which I didn't like catch at first. I rewound it. I was like, oh, okay.
When they go and start talking in the when their legs up, a good riff is, are you working off a different script, Jeff?
Yeah.
Like, this movie, like, kind of isn't about anything. Like, it's supposed to be about a giant lizard, but, like, they just go off on, like, tangents where you're not thinking about that for, like, a good 15, 20 minutes at a time. Like,
yeah.
And then it's like, oh, let's go check this ravine out. So they're like digging around, like, oh, looks like some type of giant monster dragged something in this path. Let's follow the path. And then they hear the beeping and they're like, let's go back.
There's the subplot about him getting his niece braces. So
exactly, like, what does that have to do with anything?
Right, just to like maybe raise some concern when the Gila monster like attacks the house later, but then she's like running through a field, like a scene later. I was like, oh, okay.
There were no consequences.
At the very beginning, I enjoyed the riff where he said, "Bad movie, you're soaking in it," like from the old was that like the old shampoo commercial from the 90s, I think it was. I wrote in my notes, I just wrote LOL phone gag, but I don't like remember like what he was doing when he was on the phone, how they were riffing it. I just remember it was really
one
funny.
of the riffs was, that's not our phone.
it was
that's not our phone's ring.
Oh, one thing I did like, every time like someone would kind of like open a door and kind of like look at a door, like when the door opened, they were just like, oh yeah, when the guy is like hearing the singing, they're like, get the spiders off me. He's like, get the spiders off me. That stuff just fucking that like simple humor just like kills me. Oh yeah, when the sheriff is like, all right, son, see you back at the garage. And he's like, son, is that why mom cries every time I mention you? So good. So good.
So yeah, as like an actual movie, this movie stinks, but it's one of the better Mystery Science Theater 3000 riffs you can do. What do you think of the other stuff that was going on between TV's Frank and the professor and Mike and the robots?
I liked when they did like their own makeshift version of like the diner from the beginning of the movie.
Right. It's all just like cleaning products.
Yeah, he's making like he's trying to make like weird ice cream floats with like bleach, and then he gets all frustrated with the robots. Like the bots aren't like playing along.
3 scoops of vanilla. And then some barbasol. Oh, guys! Every time I have a sketch, you guys just mess it up. But every time you guys do it, I try really hard for you.
I like that Dr. Forrester and TV's Frank had like Ren Fair like punching bags.
Right.
That was good. What else was there? What else did they do? There was another one at the beginning. Oh, they have like he has like Crow and Servo's heads.
Yep, they
like,
tied together.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, I wouldn't say this. I thought the skits were fine. I wouldn't say they were like the best skits I've seen from this era of MST3K, but yeah, they were good.
Yeah,
they were good. Your thoughts?
They made a George Wentz joke about Tom Servo's body at the beginning, and I was like, I know I'm the only one who's getting this one.
Yeah, that's a that's a generational cut right there.
Yeah. Who is George Wentz? Tell the audience.
I don't know actually.
Oh, all right. Well, he is Norm from Cheers.
Okay. I mean, I do the name.
Jason Sudeikis is his uncle.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well.
But yeah, so I'm a big Cheers guy, and so when I introduced you earlier, it was a play on that riff.
Yeah.
You were no George Wentz. You're more of a Nick Tortelli.
I knew the name George Wentz, but I like never watched Cheers. So,
great show.
Oh, okay. The singing. So there's the "Well, my baby, when she sings song," which like, oh god, you like bust that out like randomly, and like they're always like, no. But there was like one really funny part where like he picks up not a ukulele, picks up the random banjo to play a little ditty to his niece, but like just the timing was perfect. Just as soon as he picks up the banjo, they're like, "Tiptoe through the tulips," and I was like, yes. But like
they cut to the women. He's like, "Ooh, rough crowd."
But like, so Don, like apparently has this like rock and roll, like rockabilly, pretty typical for like the 50s, like rockabilly single that the DJ plays at the party, and then he's like, "Hey guys, you all know who that singer was?" And he reveals it's Don, and then he's like, "All right, he's got like another song he's gonna play for us." And he plays that like basic little like nursery rhyme thing that he played like for his niece, where it's like about like, "And the Lord said, laugh, children laugh," and like I love how it's like they're like trying to show these people like trying to like bop their heads to it. And I was like, wait a minute, you went from like some like rockabilly shit to like this like nursery rhyme shit, and I just love how like right in the middle of it, the one cool thing the Giant Gila Monster does is just burst through the wall and ruins his like little song debut. And I was like, all right, very good. It's the best thing you've done all movie, because everything else you've done is just walk around like a little playset.
It would have been funny if they said, "You sold out," when he started saying that. But yeah, this is really like the only good part of the movie is when the Giant Gila Monster like breaks through the barn, and I'm just like, oh, at least they matched up the sets pretty well.
Yeah.
So yeah, he breaks through the barn, and then they shoot him, so he kind of goes away, and he wrecks that little girl's house, and then they run So I want to talk about the end plot for this movie for a second, because they basically take like Don and his French Amore.
Oh, in real life, she was a Miss Universe contestant for France. So
yeah.
There you go.
So his French girlfriend is there, and there's this joke about when he runs into the shed, his mother's just in the shed.
Yeah. Is the war over, son?
I'll be back to take you out later, Mom.
Have we won the war?
So that's a good joke. If you're watching that, anytime he goes to the shed, it's a good time.
Yeah.
So he takes nitroglycerin out of the shed. He puts it in the car with the girl. And anyone of a certain vintage grew up with the N64. And one of the games on the Nintendo 64 was called Castlevania 64. It was not the 64th Castlevania. It was just on the Nintendo 64. And all the games had 64 in their title. It was the 90s.
Yeah.
So one of the most hated parts of this game is when you make it to the castle, and something you have to do is blow up not one, but 2 doors with nitroglycerin. You can't run or jump while you have it, so you can only walk. You can't get hit. So, and there's a lot of platforming, and you're like going through like screws of like a clock tower type of thing. So you have to like walk through the screws and not like bump into anything, or you die. And it's one of the most frustrating parts of this game. And that's all I could think of during the end of this movie, is like how much it was pissing me off, reminding me of like this game I haven't played in over a decade. And this frustrating part that just like slows the game down to a crawl, because you can't do anything when you have nitroglycerin. And they're like making it a point, being like, "Oh, do you know what could have happened if this blew up?" I'm like,
"Well, half the town."
I do.
Half this desolate town. I like how he's like too. He's like, "Oh, don't let it bump around." Then he proceeds to go flying over,
driving
like,
through a field.
Yeah, it's like I was like, "All right, well, don't you make it as hard as you possibly can." Also, there's like one good part about that, or one good riffing around that too. Where he's like, when he's like running around, like getting out of the house, he's like, this is once he was like running out of his car, and like, I don't remember if it was like Servo or Joel, but he's like, Mary, don't you know me, Mary?
Oh, Murray.
Mary. It's a Wonderful Life references will pop me every time.
Yeah.
I like how when he's like driving, like when they're getting towards the end of driving it towards the giant Gila monster, like they just started like whenever it cut to the Gila monster, they would just use lines from Apocalypse Now. And then it's like, and then like ending with like the horror. But they had like another one before where they were like just straight up called him like Colonel Kurtz.
Yeah.
that got me. I was like, that was good.
But
that was good.
So basically, the way they kill the giant Gila monster is he drives the hot rod with the stolen tires and the stolen headlight full of nitroglycerin into the giant Gila monster, and he blows up, and the car blows up, and then they scam the insurance company for a new car.
Yeah, that's true. He's like, he totally destroyed all the evidence of his crime of Grand Theft Auto, or stealing at least the tires and shit.
Dirtbags. Even when the giant Gila monster dies, they say, "Oh, they killed the only likable character."
This is the fucking town that I don't know if they ever clearly state that it's Texas, so I'm just going to assume this is the town that Rambo wanders into in First Blood.
I think that was Oregon.
Yeah, so we're gonna say, because they didn't say where this one took place, that it's the same town, and that's just what the sheriff did whenever Rambo showed. The same sheriff from Giant Gila Monster is the same sheriff from Rambo First Blood. That's my headcanon now.
It's Brian Dennehy?
Yeah. So, what else? No, I don't know if I have anything else. I think I covered all my good riffing.
There was like the guy who was like accusing the sheriff of
Oh, yeah.
like being like bad at his job, and he's like, "Oh, I couldn't arrest those punk kids, trying to make them stay there."
The Mr. Potter of the town, except he's got like an oil rig or something. And like how they throw it, he's like, I don't remember who it is they're talking about. They're going like his father died drilling in one of your rigs. Like, and I was like, okay, like that's I was like, so the population went from apparently 15 to 14 with that incident. So,
yeah. Oh well. But yeah, this is a awful movie. Why anyone would ever want to remake it is beyond me. But it happened.
It did. It did.
That trailer is just. It looks like one of those things that you'd see in like a YouTube spoof.
Yes, yeah. I saw that it's free on Tubi, the remake. So
it's called Gila, Gila,
with an exclamation point.
Oh yeah, I missed the exclamation point.
Like
Sorry,
it's Broadway.
Sorry. But as like I said, as far as Mystery Science Theater 3000, there's like I said, the mom stuff always got me, and
did we win the war?
how in the end when they said, "Oh, they killed the only likable character," that always resonates with me. So yeah, I love watching this.
Yeah,
and at the end, T-Rex Frank tries to take over from the professor, who he says is dead, but he's really alive.
And he hits him with like a mace.
He's like, "You guys take it from here. I have to talk to Frank for a moment."
This is from a arrow. Oh yeah, he just like hits him and he just drops, and that's how the episode ends. Just like a thud. But yeah,
he's like, "Push the button, Frank," and Frank doesn't push it, so he just like whacks him and bumps into
it. This is probably an era like in the 30s and 40s, and I'm sure I probably did continue into the 50s. Like, you know, like you've probably seen clips where it's like they have like lizards fighting each other, like in those like old movies. Like they would like glue like the fins on the back, and like they basically had these like starving lizards that would just like fight each other like with like dinosaur horns like glued on them and stuff.
Yeah. And
that's like always, depressing to kind of hear about and stuff like that. Like at least like this movie, like they blew up like a model of the Gila monster. I assume they didn't blow up the real creature. It looks like a model if you pause it, but like
there's no way they blew up a real.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Movies back then are fucked up, but so like, but yes, yeah, they did. But I was like, all right, at least like you just had this thing like walking around like some sets and shit like that. You didn't treat it cruelly or anything like that. At least as far as I know, it wasn't treated cruelly. But
As far as 1959 movies go, though, like hearing this had a $138,000 budget is really insulting.
For what? Where did it go?
It had to go into someone's pocket.
I did hear in like the podcast that I was like listening to that had Don Sullivan on it. He said like all the hot rods in the movie like were all like loaned out from like champion hot rodders. Maybe that commanded some feet. I don't know where the $138,000 goes.
All right.
But I was trying to think. I was like, how much are these actors' salaries? Like, and you filmed in about like 3 different locations.
Right.
You know, I'm pretty sure they used the same room for the.
And nothing happens.
Yeah, so it's like maybe it's I don't know. Maybe it's marketing. Maybe it's everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. But Jesus, that's a lot of money. I gotta like. Although I guess like Plan 9 from Outer Space actually costs more money than like you would think it would, and stuff like that. So like,
At least they had sets.
they did have sets.
Yeah.
And they had Bella.
Yeah.
Kinda. Sorta. Post-death Bella. But it's Bella nonetheless.
They had that lady's that accountant's husband who put the cloak over his face.
He was the chiropractor.
The chiropractor.
Chiropractor. Have you ever watched the actual the Johnny Depp movie,
Yes.
Ed Wood?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so fucking good. So good. Classic. I love how they like get into like that part too. But yeah, anyway, sidetrack. All right. Shall we rank these things?
Sure.
All right, so we'll do it as a movie, then do it as an MST3K episode.
Okay. I went first last time, so I'll toss it over to you.
Yes, I agree that this is a 1-star movie on its own, but usually the worse the movie is, the better the MST3K episode is. Although I'm going to actually give this one a 4 for the MST3K episodes. I think this is really funny and really good, but I think like 5 stars are like Manos and a lot of the Gamera episodes and stuff like that. So I think this is another top tier, but I mean like it's it's just shy below those like all-timer episodes.
Yeah. I said earlier, as a movie, this is the worst movie we've ever watched. And we watched Paul Gasari last episode. So that's how bad this is. Like, it is a bad, boring, awful movie. So 1, but I think I'm matching you in the 4 for the MS2T3K ranking. It's very good, but all the episodes you said with Joel, I'm going to throw in some Mike 5-star ones. Hamlet.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Werewolf.
Yep.
And Zombie Nightmare.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so those are the 5-star Mike episodes too. That I will quote those. Also, Tia Carrera's in Zombie Nightmare. But anyway, but all the Gamera episodes with Joel are just,
or Attack of the Killer Shrews. That's a 5-star episode. Monster a Go-Go, 5-star episode.
There's one. Fuck, I forget what it's called. I think it's like a spiders. The
Blood Beast.
I think Night of the Blood Beast. I think is.
I think that's the one where they have the gag where everyone's named Steve. It's like they go into a room. It's like Steve. It's either Blood Beast or Killer Shrews when they do that gag, but both of those are fantastic episodes. Fantastic.
But this is a 4 from me. There are better MST3K episodes out there, but not many. This is one of the better ones.
Yeah. This is looking. This is right. This is right on the cusp of being one of the 5-star ones. But
they turn chicken shit into chicken salad.
When you get a 5-star episode, it's like, I mean, they're just gold from like beginning to end. There's nothing bad about this one. It's just they just like really up their game for whatever reason, like on a few other episodes.
Yeah,
but it's right there.
Exactly.
Classic.
Yeah.
Classic.
Let's talk about purchases. Did you get any?
A bunch, pal.
Cool.
A bunch. I got a bunch of miscellaneous things at G-Fest. I don't think I need to run through all of them. I came home with another backpack full of shit from G-Fest. But I'll just hit some highlights. I got the Bandai Movie Monster Series, Final Wars Godzilla. That was fun. I also got the Shin Gomes figure from Shin Ultraman because it's a reworking of Shin Godzilla. But 2 big things from G-Fest. The 2 main event purchases from G-Fest. So Seismic Toys, that's the guy who does the Dawn of the Monsters video game, which I'm a big fan of. That's also his toy company. I don't know if he's the owner of it or just like one of like the partners of it, but they make like very limited run, like very boutique figures. Like they make like figures for all like the Dawn of the Monsters characters. They have and they have an Ultraman license. It's like they'll make these like kind of really high quality short run like 300 run figures of Ultraman characters. They had some G-Fest exclusives, and one was Jiras, which is Godzilla with the fin, with the fin around his neck in the first Ultraman series. And they had a couple different ones that were limited to 25 pieces each. There was a glow-in-the-dark one, like a see-through orange one. I got number 19 of 25 for the glow-in-the-dark ones.
Nice.
And in our group chat, like I like charged it up a little bit, like in my hotel room, and I sent a picture in our group chat of it like glowing. And it was like, that thing glows fucking green. I love it. I've realized I love wind-up toy gimmicks, and I like glow-in-the-dark gimmicks.
You do like the glow-in-the-dark gimmicks.
I do like the glow-in-the-dark gimmicks. Like, that's a easy way to my heart. Or if you have a toy that, like, winds up and walks. Apparently, I didn't realize I really like that, but when I was, like, I found a bunch of, like, my old, like, Trendmasters, like, wind-up toys, I was like, I really fucking like these. I wish there was more of these. But I would say my true main event purchase, I guess we'll say, from G-Fest was getting Yumiko Shaku Akane's autograph. I was in line for a long, so it was very difficult to get her. Not difficult, but it was like I didn't know this. You had to buy tickets to get her autograph because she didn't have as much time as the other guest did, because she had like a limited flight schedule and stuff like that. I mean, she's coming from Japan. Everyone else was like coming from different parts of America, so she had like limited time. And so on Friday, I think they sold 100 tickets to get her autograph. And then on Saturday, they sold 200 tickets. Now, I did not know they were selling tickets. I missed that. So I was standing in line for like an hour waiting to get her autograph. And I was like, just kind of chit-chatting with people around me. They said something about tickets. And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, do I need tickets to be in this line? And they were like, yeah. And the people around me were like, oh yeah, you gotta get, like, they sold out in like 2 minutes this morning. Because she was like in demand. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, okay. So got out of the line. I went up to one of the guys who was like working like the room, and I said, look, I didn't know about the ticket thing. I said, can I just pay you? And he's like, well, she got limited time. He goes, well, I'll tell you what. He's like, just get to the back of the line. He goes, let the people with tickets go. And if it's like she had to leave at like 3:00, I think, to like whatever she had to do. And he goes, if you got time, or like we got time, he goes, yeah, just give me your money. He goes, you can just pay me. And he's like, just let the people with tickets go first. And I said, thanks, man. I said, I appreciate that. So that's what happened. She was super nice. There, like, you could get like a picture taken with her. There's like a giant Kiryu statue. Like, you will stand on either side of a giant Kiryu statue. But all of these people were getting posters signed. One person had a cardboard cutout of the Godzilla X Mechagodzilla poster where she's like kind of in the forefront. But what did I get signed? Well, I got a bag clip signed. This is what I did. So, in the most recent release of those monogram bag clips that I love, they started doing kind of like poster ones. And there's one for Godzilla X Mechagodzilla. And I said, I am going to have probably the only autographed bag clip on the planet. And that is what I am going to get signed. And she signed it. We took our picture together at the Kiryu thing, and I said, I now have an autographed Godzilla X Mechagodzilla bag clip. While I am still missing that one elusive Chase Godzilla bag clip, I can now say I affirmatively have the greatest bag clip collection on the planet, because I don't recall seeing anybody else getting any bag clips signed while I was standing in line.
Ooh.
So, and actually when I took it up, like, people were like, oh, were you getting signed? I took that up. They're just like, you fucking for real, man? Like, in a much kinder way. But it was like, everyone was just like, even she was kind of like, she's like, whoa, this? And she was like, oh, this is cute. But I was telling somebody, I said, dude, you don't understand how into these bag clips I am. I said, getting this signed is like a fucking crowning achievement of like my collection. I was like, I may even put this in a fucking glass case. I don't even fucking know. So that that was by far my G-Fest purchase highlight.
All right.
And now I think if I go back to G-Fest and there is a guest that corresponds with another bag clip, I might just try to keep getting bag clips signed. What hoot that would be.
You become bag clip slick.
There were people getting figure signed, but like a lot of, like they would get like the underside of like a tail signed or something like that.
Yeah.
But that was the only bag clip that I'm aware of in that line. So it was too bad. I had other stuff I wanted to get signed by Don Fry and TJ and Lyndon Miller and stuff like that. But I was just like, I was like, they are probably going to come back more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was not going to blow up an entire day to like stand in 3 different autograph lines.
Yeah.
Or 4 different autograph lines. But she is probably not. Like, or maybe she will come back. But it's like she's going to be less likely to, because she's the one coming from Japan. She's going to be less likely to come back than the others. And I said, well, I don't know when I'm going to get this chance again. So that was what I focused on. So very happy I have an autograph bag clip now in my collection, which is absurd.
That is absurd.
Yeah. And then my other minor purchase came post G-Fest. I got the Shin Kamen Rider Bandai Movie Monster Series figure, the one where he's wearing the long coat. That dropped on Prime this week. I watched it again. Still a fucking 5-star fantastic movie. But like, you remember how the beginning, I said I was going to do this in our group chat, but I'm going to tee it up like I didn't say this to you already. But you remember how at the beginning of that movie, he's like standing at the top of the hill, staring down at him?
Right.
So I just said, I'm just going to put this figure on like a top shelf in like one of my rooms just so he's like staring down. And that's what I did. So he I in my main room where like my collection is, I have this like one really tall like shelf tower like in the corner, and at the very top is like the Godzilla 98 Taco Bell collection. And I was like, that's random enough and tall enough. Like, so I just put it there so it's like staring at me down randomly for this Taco Bell collection.
Ready to pounce at a moment's notice to explode your brain.
It's so ominous and comical. Like, it makes me laugh. That's all that really matters. So as soon as I got it, I said, yes, that thing will never be on a low shelf. I'll always just move it to like, I might even just move it around my house. I don't know. Maybe my wife's going to find it on top of the fridge one morning. Just staring down at her. So that was fun.
Well,
so there you go.
Yeah.
That was my pickups.
Nice. I'm still waiting on what might be my only purchase of the summer. Still waiting on that. Still waiting in the mail.
Oh, I suspect I am also waiting for the same purchase. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think some of the pre-orders that I have from the Godzilla store are also going to perhaps be shipping in the very near future.
Nice.
The Godzilla versus Megalon Bandai figure, that's supposed to get released like any time now. So, very excited to have that. A figure of my first Godzilla.
Well, if that does it for fig stuff, what do we got next on the docket?
I don't know. I'm gonna drop this to you. I haven't discussed this with you ahead of time, but like I was thinking, what do we do next? And I was like, maybe we're due for like a discussion topic. And I was thinking, or if you count like when like Godzilla got like revealed for the MonsterVerse, or for like the 2014 movie, like we're 10 years or probably more than 10 years into it. Maybe we should do a little state of the MonsterVerse.
Oh my
discussion. Not necessarily like re-reviewing the movies, but just like, with the overall world of the MonsterVerse. What do we think? The highs, the lows. Kind of came to me when I was driving over here. It was like we could probably have a good discussion with that.
Yeah. I'm in. Count me in.
All right, well there you go. Nice little discussion topic next time.
So next time we'll be discussing the state of the MonsterVerse. Anything else you want to leave the listeners with on our departure in this episode?
Yeah.
Well, Brasky's back and always leave things the way you found them.